Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Catherine Walters, and I'm the Joy Coach. And I'd like to welcome you to the Joyful You Too Video Summit. And I am so lucky to have 21 absolutely amazing speakers who are here to share their wisdom, expertise, and even their very beingness, as you will see with my guests today, on how we can bring more joy, playfulness, fun, creativity into our everyday life and experience our authentic joy. Now, today with me is David Hoffmeister. David is a living mystic who demonstrates that peace is possible, and you can certainly see that by just his very being and presence. David is world renowned for his practical application of the Course in Miracles. For over 31 years, David has traveled to 44 countries across 6 continents to extend the message that truth is available for everyone. His teachings have been translated into 13 languages and taken into the hearts and minds of millions through his intimate style. His book, Quantum Forgiveness, Physics Meet Jesus, catapults the mind into a true and transcendent experience of forgiveness now. So welcome, David. Thank you so much for being here on Joyful You Too.
Thank you, Catherine. It's a joy to be with you. Just to meet you for the first time, I'm feeling all the joy.
Oh, awesome. I love it. Thank you. So, David, I know you've done so many interviews over the years, but just what would you like to share about your experience with Jesus and this connection that you have that can maybe help the people that are, like, as more of us are awakening? How can your experience, because you're the trailblazer, you're leading the pack, you're at the head of the line. So more of what you've been experiencing in the last 31 years, more people are actually going to experience it, are experiencing already. So what would you like to share about that in your journey?
Well, it's been a very deep journey, but also I'd have to say over those 31 years, it's gotten more playful and more fun as it's gone along. And occasionally we'll see this picture like of a laughing Jesus, but they're still kind of rare. There's still a lot of serious like caricatures and statues and so on and so forth, and the crucifix and so on and so forth. But I find Jesus to be very practical and very playful, and he has a great sense of humor, and also it's come through, and it's been a convincing job over these 31 years to open up, to listen to guidance, and to follow that guidance and build confidence in that inner guidance. And then the relationship seems to have grown stronger and stronger, that connection and experience. So I think that's how we learn. That's how children learn too. They have to have trust. They have to build their confidence, and it's done in baby steps. And so none of us should be discouraged, however our lifestyle or life situation looks right now.
Oh, I so agree, because I'll give you a simple example. I wanted to go to the laundromat yesterday, and I forgot to ask my parking angels when I left home for a parking place. So I was like, maybe half a mile away to go, oh, parking angels, I need a parking place, because it was raining. And sure enough, a car pulled out and I was able to pull right in. And it was just like that synchronous, but it was like the total trust, like you mentioned, and confidence that I have in that my parking angels are always going to be here. And whether I may call them my parking angels, but it could be Christ, it could be really any of the divine, yes?
Yes. We get so much guidance. There's so much available to us, but like you, we just need to practice remembering. And then when we do remember, then that's what activates it. And so we should feel grateful every time it happens.
Oh, it's fascinating. It's phenomenal. It's basically, to me, it's like, my intention, I suppose, is to just always remember as much as I can in every moment to ask for that help, so that, and then the guidance is there.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing that adults have to work with is remembering to ask, because a lot of us were raised, to be very strong and bravado and do it for yourself, and no one's going to look out for you, and you got to do everything for yourself. And I think what happens with that kind of way is that you end up trying to push your way through life, and And I don't really feel that we really can have happiness and joy in a consistent way if we're always pushing for things to happen, pushing other people, pushing agendas. I really feel to be more like a twig in the river and really let the day show itself to me. And I'm excited that way. I'm excited to see what unfolds, but I don't have these agendas and these strong pushes going on in my days anymore.
Wow. So you just allow the day to show. So like we had this scheduled today. So, but how do you, so it's just going to happen. You show up at the right time, but how can we live our lives that way where we just allow that? Because people have to go to jobs and so forth. So any suggestions on how we can let the day reveal itself to us?
Well, if your life is heavily scheduled and heavily planned, then you might think of yourself kind of unwinding slowly with the help of intuition and angels and spirit to become more spontaneous and more playful. And of course, just to start, if you had a very heavily planned day and you have some cancellations or some unexpected things that happen, instead of letting the ego jump in and go, oh gosh, well, where are they? And it's a waste of time. And, the typical things the ego does when there's a cancellation or a change is to see, wow, there's a nice little opportunity here for some playfulness and some fun, and really appreciate that time. And then I think the more you move in that direction, things start to loosen and become more spontaneous overall in your life. So I really don't have a life now where there's many scheduled things, and yet I'm full on in my expression during the day. But so when this rolled up, it was a delight to come from my siesta down here in Mexico and come and join you.
Oh, I love that, and I think just again a pleasure. But it's just I love the way you said about how the cancellation or those like say windows of opportunity that we initially think we get so upset about, and we're like, wait a minute, here's a gift. That we can use and how you shared that we can play a little bit. Imagine that if we as adults in our busy workday, or even children too, because children's lives are so scheduled these days, to just say, wow, I get to just play, or I get to I don't know, to take a few minutes to look out, to take a walk in nature, whatever it is that they might want to do. What a difference that can make in our lives.
Yeah, because I have told people about how it's gone in my life, and sometimes they'll say, well, if I'm not, at work, even when I take a day off, they say they feel guilty because they just think of everybody else in the world that's working at that time instead of going to see a matinee movie or take a walk down by the river or go out and enjoy the sunshine. It's this old mentality. Time is money, money is time, like a time pressure thing that's part of an old conditioning that really suffocates our happiness and joy. So once we start to realize that we can start to free our mind, but it may take some effort and it may take some remembering to ask, like you said, and some prayerfulness and meditation, but it's very possible.
I believe that because I know even as an entrepreneur, it's like you really want to work, but it's like, wait a minute, I can go to the grocery store on a Wednesday morning when there's no crowd and get in and get out very quickly and have a good time talking with the people that work there and make it a joyful experience rather than rush in or try to go in when everyone else is on the weekends. So there are opportunities that we can create in our lives no matter what. Even though we're working, we can create these experiences that can bring us joy and happiness. So I'd like to just throw out, when it comes to the word play and playfulness, what pops in? How can we have more play and playfulness in our lives?
Well, at the beginning, we were talking and you were sharing about your cat, and one thing that comes for me is my interaction with animals, whether they're pets that I've had over the years or even interactions when I'm out having a coffee. And a lot of people down here in Mexico, they bring their dogs to the mall and everybody's walking. I feel there's an opportunity certainly with animals to have that playfulness. And then you can do it in a lot of areas of your life. I mean, a lot of times people find out with children and they like to hang around children. I know even when I went into nursing homes as part of the holiday project back in the United States, sometimes we would bring animals in to the elderly people, and they would just all immediately, their faces would light up. You could see that joy, that playfulness, those memories, maybe childhood memories even coming back very rapidly. So to me, it's something that it's an attitude that we can cultivate. And if you have things that you really enjoy in life, I think those are the things where it can kind of come through first, and then it starts to spread more to other aspects of your life, and you can feel it that way too.
Oh, I love that, because it's true. Like, it seems like we get so caught up in our lives that we forget those little moments or those things that do give us joy. And so when we can reconnect with even in our relationships, where like our couples, they're not as connected because they get so busy taking care of everything and doing all those things and kind of being on like a hamster wheel, that you forget those very things that brought you together, that give you joy. It can be something simple as holding hands or going for a coffee, as you mentioned, and just sitting and being together, really being connected with each other.
Yeah, I think in some ways with the complexities of this world and even the complexities of the modern eras, as opposed to like farming eras that have come before us, that's a big temptation where, you know, our relationships to get caught up into these roles, and there's so much pressure on them to make ends meet and to keep the house clean and to keep the money coming in, and when you bring in children or pets or other things like that, it just starts to become more and more and more complex and more heavy. And then pretty soon you might as well toss the label human being out the window and call yourself a human doing, because the busyness has become like a disease. It's taken over, and you can't stop and smell the roses. Even to me, I love all these little ways in which these reminders from the universe come in to relax. I have an iPhone, and so I just got an upgrade. You know, you get upgrades, and just by upgrading, I think the last upgrade, they have a new program on it, and it comes on, it wiggles, and it says breathe. And I didn't do anything actively to be told to breathe, but now my watch is jiggling, telling me to breathe and take it easy. And I thought, how fun, not having downloaded anything specific program or whatever. It's just like an automatic upgrade that's come in, and here it is, nice green letters, breathe. So, you know, I enjoy that. I like to see how things come to greet me and remind me. And I love to watch the signs and symbols all around me. So I'm definitely paying attention to my iPhone, my watch, Apple Watch.
Well, yeah, I like what you said about that. It's how it's something simple, because we often want to make our pleasure and everything, a joy, so complex and out of reach, but it's not. It's like you mentioned, my cat, or you know, you're amused by your new iWatch, or whatever it is in life. Like you mentioned, like, you know, going out in the street or taking a walk in nature or any of that. It's those simple things, it seems, that we need because life is so complex.
Yes. I think if we start to pay attention to the signs and symbols, and we're open to that relaxation, playfulness, joy coming into our life, that's a huge first step. And then if somebody asked me, well, what if I'm actually wanting to have an actually joyful life, not just some little spots here and there, which you can feel grateful for those as well. But I would say too that, you know, each of us has an intuitive calling. And, you know, not all of us is we're not called to be Mother Teresa or Gandhi and do hunger fast and pick up poor people off the streets and everything. But I do feel that all of us have an inner calling, and for those that are religious, they may think of it in terms of spiritual religious terms, but for those who are not the least bit religious or spiritual, they may just think of it as their intuitive voice. Or sometimes even athletes say, oh, my gut feeling is this, and everybody's got their own language, and that's beautiful. But I do feel like we have a calling or a purpose, or there's an intuitive part of us that loves joy, that loves happiness. And I'm not talking about where you get happy because of some externals or some outcome that happens, but I'm talking about this intrinsic, bubbling kind of feeling from inside, where sometimes it just sweeps over you and you find a big smile on your face. You can't even think of a reason why you feel so good. It's just so natural that I feel people don't have to get into all kinds of theologies and everything. If they start to feel things that feel very relaxing and good, then move in that direction and be open to that. You might even be able to have your entire lifestyle and your way of life revolving around this wonderful, joyful, intuitive feeling. And to me, that's exciting to know that we have that. We all have that capacity.
Exactly, because it's already inside of us.
Yeah, it's there.
That joy, it's like, it's that natural state. It's really who we are, because all you have to do is look at babies and they're there.
Yeah.
They're in that joyful state that you are. As long as all their basic needs are met, they're like, hello, I'm a happy little couple. Right. And so that's what we all want. And yet, so how can we go? I mean, you mentioned a few things already, from this complexity into the simple, and expanding it into more of like, so it's, our lives are spontaneous, and like you're kind of in a way going with the flow, and you're following your gut or your intuition, and you're just sort of weaving your life that way. Any other practical tips of how we might do that?
Well, the thing that was important for me, I think, was I had to have some little sliver of open-mindedness and some sense of openness, because I went through all the years of grade school and junior high school, and then when I went to university, I was in university for 10 years for undergrad and grad. So I was highly educated, and then I had a value of education. My mother was a teacher. I had such a huge time, so many, actually a couple decades there, probably devoted to academia. And then I had to start to open up to the idea that there was this intuitive presence that was there all along with a wisdom, and that I had to actually acknowledge that I had overlearned a lot of complexity. I had learned a lot of analysis, and I was in engineering and urban planning, and it got more and more complicated as I got into it, political science and so forth. And then I actually did a reverse in my life, where I started to say, maybe I need to unlearn a lot of these things. Like Buddha said, empty your mind. Jesus mentions similar things in A Course in Miracles. I thought, I'm going to trust that. And I'm going to trust that even if I simplify my life and I really smell the roses and I learn to just follow my heart, I'm going to trust that everything is going to be taken care of. And it actually has worked out that way. So it's convinced me that intuitive wisdom has got our back all along, and that I had to pretty much stop what I was doing for the first half of my life. And I left university when I was about 20, almost 28 years old, and now this body is about 59. So I'd say for probably almost the first half of my life, I was on that treadmill. And now the second half of my life, it's become so consistently joyful and playful and spontaneous. But I really did have to do a reverse and have the humbleness to say, yeah, maybe I don't have this whole figured out. Maybe there's something else more than meets the eye in this world.
Okay, I'm going to repeat a little bit of that because our connection was a little garbled. Okay. So I think what I heard at the very end is that there was you had to do a complete reverse in your life from the academia to the unlearning all much of what you learned through Course in Miracles and so forth. And there was definitely a sense of humility that you brought with that I'm going to let this go. And then I didn't quite get the rest of that because, as I said, it got a little garbled. So if you wouldn't mind repeating, I'd appreciate it. I'm sure everyone would appreciate it.
Yes, and I think in the letting go, I think my guidance, my intuition grew stronger and stronger. It was less of trying to figure things out and analyze things, to opening to guidance and following that guidance when it would come, and having amazing things just open up, like doors opening up everywhere I went. And when people think sometimes of a life of spirit, they think of, very simple and away from the world. No, my life involves travel to 40 some countries. I'm at a property now where I'll be guided. I was guided to this property, and then it's an amazing place, and then the means just drop in along with the guidance. It's quite a spectacular thing. This happens over and over and over for me. Some might say it's like The Secret, and using your mind to manifest, but I just am kind of following the path of joy and enjoying the ride. So I think I've gone from a very analytical life into a very intuitive life.
Right, and that's what it is. It's the trusting and that guidance. And I know people will say to me, well, Catherine, well, you have faith, you trust. And I mean, I don't have it, I have some, yes. And I think it's an area where we probably all need to grow, maybe not you so much, but you've been there, you definitely have over the years. So how can people learn to trust and follow that guidance more? Any suggestions?
Well, I think a lot of us get these intuitive nudges and prompts. Sometimes they're feelings. It doesn't have to be a voice in your mind. We get these little nudges, and then oftentimes there's this chatter that goes on in our mind that's very negative, and it pushes it away. Oh, that's ridiculous. And, it's always dismissing our little nudges and prompts. We need to pay attention to those nudges. And then I think once we start to act on some of those nudges, and we have wonderful experiences with that, then right away that's convincing. That's starting to say, oh, you can do this. You are an intuitive being, and you can do this. And for me, that just grew stronger and stronger. But everybody should remember, just take the baby steps. If something seems too frightening or too big of a stretch, then just set it aside. But if there's something that just keeps coming back, little nudge on your heart, and you think I'm going to give this a try, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I was not. I was led into all kinds of amazing experiences that way.
Right, and that's beautiful, and I love that example, and it's true. I mean, baby steps. As a coach, it's like we help people take baby steps, and sometimes we're ready for a giant leap, but it takes that trust and that time and that confidence. Really, it's their confidence in that the divine will be there for you. That as you said, that intuitive wisdom has your back. And that's really our security. It's not our security out in our income or our home or our SUV or whatever, all those quote things we have. Those could disappear in a, snap your fingers. But it's that intuitive wisdom that's who we are, that's always a part of us, that once we tap into that more, then, as you say, our lives can flow. And the more we start listening to it and following it, then our lives can open up just like yours.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not for special people. It's just really available for all of us. And I think it's for us just having the faith to say, I think I'm worth it, and I'm going to give it a try. And then when we have successes with it, it starts to grow stronger.
Absolutely. So, David, you have a special gift for all of our listeners and viewers. So can you share what that is, please?
Yeah, I wrote a book called Quantum Forgiveness that you mentioned, Physics Meet Jesus. And so this is a free chapter from that book. And you can get it if you're viewing this just by going to David Hoffmeister DAVIDHOFFMEISTER.com/QF And what it is, that book is it's a fairly short book, but what it is, it's taking some of the beautiful teachings of Jesus from A Course in Miracles. It's taking quantum physics. It's taking a little bit of references to Christianity. And then it takes metaphysical movies, I call them quantum movies, that you are guided through to show you a whole different way of perceiving the world that is holistic and not linear. And so that really will take you into your intuition when you start to see the big picture instead of the blinders and all this focus on the past and the future. So if anybody wants to see it again, it's free to be a download you can get. It's davidhoffmeister.com/QF gift. And I think you may just have a sample chapter. I think it's chapter 2 or
it is right, and there's going to be a link on the page, like
yes.
so they'll have it. So, but thank you for sharing that, so that people will pick it up. But if they're listening, of course they would. But they'll be able to get that. The link will be there. So thank you, David. It sounds fabulous. I can't wait to look at it myself. The other is this. What will be happening that more people might be able to see you? Are you doing seminars or programs, say like April or later? Can you tell us about some of those?
Yeah, in Midland, Utah, which is a little bit outside of south and east of Salt Lake City, my friend James Twyman, who's a world-traveling globetrotter, he's actually right here in the same house with me. He's down here in Mexico. We're having a nice visit together. We're going to be doing an Easter conference, a Course in Miracles Easter conference on Easter weekend, and that's coming up in April. And then right after that, we have a Miracles Monastery. It's called Living Miracles Monastery in the canyons of Utah. It's about another half an hour, 45 minutes to the east, and we're doing a Going Deeper retreat there. James and I and a lot of other amazing teachers will be at both these events. And then we're doing a mystery school. I've always loved the esoteric mystery schools throughout the ages. I'm doing my first mystery school in the month of May, and it's filling up, or almost full, I think, but it's at nondualityonline.com if anybody would like information, and maybe in some other year they could even see it if this one's too full. And then for some of people who study A Course in Miracles, the founders, we're honoring the founders and all the way showers. Some have passed away, but there are some that are still alive and well. And this July, we're doing a big celebration, a celebration of inner peace out in the canyon at our monastery. So it's around the 16th, 17th of July. So if anybody wants to tune in, they can find more information about that too.
They all sound fantastic. And that mystery school, I want to check that out, because I think that's something that really, if I think about it, that would be the kind of education that I would want. We have all this college and academia, but the ancient mystery schools are really where we learned. And so for you to bring that back is just wonderful. Well, David, thank you so much for everything that you shared today. It's just, I feel just the energies are so filled with joy and just so much love. So I want to thank you again for being here, for your generous gift and updating people on where you're going to be soon. And just really a pleasure. So many blessings to you and everything in the future. And everyone, please come back and listen to this recording several times just to feel David's presence. It's just wonderful. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you again really soon. Namaste.